The Bible says that he saw them from afar off. The reason why that's encouraging tonight, if I could take just a few moments here, is that sometimes we don't feel like we're as close to God as we want to be. Sometimes we feel distant. Sometimes we feel, because of the circumstances in our life, that God is far from us. That the situations that we've been dealt, the things that have happened in our past, the situations that we have encountered, some of them physically, some of them emotionally, some of them spiritually, whatever it may be, we feel like there is a great distance between God and us. But the Bible says that the 10 lepers, where they stood, was afar off, and God saw them from afar off. I want to say this to somebody, because the enemy would love to push you to the back of the building, as we say. Not where you're sitting, but to the back of the building, to where you're forgotten, to where you feel like the pastor doesn't know where you are, to where you feel like the youth pastor doesn't care. And they're just feelings, they're just emotions, they're just lies from the enemy telling you, you're too far gone. You've messed up too much, young man. Your reputation precedes you, and there's nothing that God can do with your life. There's nothing that God can maneuver. There's nothing that God could change that would bring you closer to Him. You're just going to have to accept that where you live is separate from where God is. I've come to tell you today, that's a lie and a trick from the enemy. The Bible said that he saw the lepers from afar off. They stood afar off, yet he could see them. What am I saying on this Saturday evening today? In this few moments of preaching to you, can I encourage somebody today that feels afar off in depression? Can I preach to somebody on this Saturday evening that feels afar off, where you've been positioned because things that have transpired in your life, you don't think you can ever be close to God. You don't think you could ever be where He is in His presence. You don't think you could ever be anointed. You don't think you could ever be effective. You don't think God's hand could ever be upon your life because you stand too far off. Oh, but can I tell you, He sees you. He sees you. He sees you in your anxiety. He sees you in your despair. He sees you in your sickness. He sees you in your disease. He sees you in your struggle. He sees you in your battle.